I have genuinely seen so many people misrepresent what happened in the Fool's Gambit that I just knew I had to make a video about this. It's so ridiculous. Whenever I see any discussion about the Fool's Gambit and Klein's win, people always portray it as some sort of proof that at that point, Klein was stronger and smarter than Amon, completely missing the entire point of the fight. Let me make this very clear. Amon was always a better LOTM candidate than Klein. He was always on a higher tier than Klein, stronger, more cunning, and had the support of the GOAT of the series. Amon was born as a mythical creature with the uniqueness of the Marauder pathway. In a sense, he was the Marauder pathway, just taking on a physical form. Or in other words, the perfect Beyonder for said pathway. Perfect with a capital P. You just can't get better than Amon when it comes to the Marauder pathway, which is one of the 3 pathways required for being an LOTM. Don't get me wrong, Klein was clearly a good seer, a great seer even, but you just cannot compare the two. If an Amon equivalent of the seer pathway fought Klein, he just could not win that fight, no matter how many tries he was given or how hard he tried. And a similar situation occurs with Amon too. All things being equal, Amon will always win against Klein, or at the very least, not lose or perish, which is the essence of the Marauder pathway, which by the way, he didn't do even in the Fool's Gambit, when Klein literally awakened CW inside himself, inside the Sapphire Castle. The reason Klein won isn't because he was stronger or smarter, anything but that. The reason he won was because of his humanity. The Fool's Gambit symbolizes a fight between humanity and divinity, or godhood, a repeating theme in LOTM, which further ties into the man versus fate trope. Amon 100% would have won that fight under normal conditions. Hell, Klein even admits it himself that if he hesitated for a mere second, he would have died right there. He caught Klein under the perfect conditions, when he had just ascended to godhood and was unstable, while also executing a brilliant strategy which Klein discovered way too late in the game to be saved if he didn't pull the CW move, while also himself ascending at the perfect time, taking advantage of all the chaos in the astral realm. Credit goes to the GOAT Adam for part of this too. Here's a quote to reinforce my point that Klein was way too late in discovering Amon's plan. Klein raised his head to look at Mr. Error, and he tried hard to open his mouth. He said weakly, "You were pulling off a deception from the beginning?" Amon raised his hand and said with a smile, "Unfortunately, you realized it too late." Klein won because he was willing to put the people he cared about above himself, willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, which is the spirit of humanity. We didn't get this far without people giving themselves up for progress, and even now, that is happening constantly all over the globe. Humans are so advanced today because some crazy guy hundreds of years ago went against the norm or discovered something and shared it with everyone else. We are quite literally standing on the backs of our ancestors. Amon, on the other hand, was born as a mythical creature, and hence, by the nature of the Marauder pathway, put his survival above everything else. He couldn't even consider a possibility where Klein would let CW take over himself just to win against him, simply because he would never do that, and in his eyes, that was just crazy. Despite being one of the smartest and most cunning entities on the planet, Amon's lacking understanding of humanity cost him a fight which he normally would have won. Hell, why else do you think he suddenly went to explore the cosmos to understand humanity and courage immediately after escaping from the Sapphire Castle, even though it was so much more dangerous compared to staying on Earth? Some people also say that it was a strategic decision that Klein knew Amon would chicken out and not actually go through with the awakening of CW inside himself, so that's why he did it. Bullshit. Klein awakened so much of CW's will inside himself to win against Amon that he literally had to go to the Evernight goddess and borrow the water of the river of eternal darkness to suppress CW's consciousness, otherwise he would have literally lost to him on the spot. And after he did, Evernight's recommendation to him was literally just, "Bro, try to get too fused with CW, that's the best you're gonna get." And let's not forget the iconic, "Great Master, are you afraid?" Yes, interaction between Arodis and Klein. He knew exactly how risky this was, and the fact that there was only a slim chance of him winning against this. It was literally the equivalent of throwing his life away for the win. If you're still not convinced, let me remind you of a few important quotes from the fight. "You truly are powerful, cunning, and terrifying, truly worthy of the title, God of the Seat. If it wasn't for the fact that I had long considered what I would do when forced into a corner by you and had no other choice, I would definitely have hesitated just now. And if I'd hesitated even slightly, I would have already died. I just gave up. According to your arrangements, it's just that it's more complete than you think. You don't just slit your throat on instinct the second you sense danger unless you were ready to die from the beginning. It just irks me so much whenever someone flexes Klein's win as an aura point or proof of strength or intellect. It isn't about any of that. Rather, it's a feat of Klein's character and a spirit of self-sacrifice. It's about him putting people he loves above himself, which is the reason why so many people love his character. It's about being human. If Klein was stronger than Amon during this fight, then this entire fight would mean literally nothing. After all, it would just be the expected outcome for Klein to win. It ignores all of the planning and effort it took CF to write this amazing ending for what? Glaze? If you really want to, you can maybe use it to flex Klein's mental endurance or something of the sort, but Klein did not throw away his life for this. Please stop. Lastly, I just want to say that reading anything is an entirely subjective process. I'm not some reading police. Maybe to you, this doesn't make as much sense as the alternative I was just bashing, in which case, just go with your own interpretation. At the end of the day, I'm just some guy on the internet whining about people on online discussion forums, misrepresenting my favorite fight of all time.